grasping the iron to get their hands on the gold. Focusing mind and muscle to fulfill a dream.
And welcome to you from Santo Domingo on the last day of the World Weightlifting Championships. David Morgan together with myself, David Goldstrom. 3 medals up for grabs: the women's super heavyweights, the men 105, and also the super heavyweights with Hossein Rozazadeh. Well, the 105s has been underway for a little while. We're going to catch up now with the action in the first half. The 3 key lifts, the men who actually are in contention for a medal. And here's the man who won the title last year in Qatar, Dmitry Klokov, and here's David Morgan.
Okay, so the bar now on 188 kilos. This is third and final attempt.
Weighed in at 104.10 kilos.
Well, that's a good lift, and that takes him into the lead for the moment.
Well, plenty of fireworks from Dmitry. Always harder to defend a title. But 188, good lift, certainly better than anyone in the B group. But that said, still 11 kilos short of the world record. Now here's Akhmatov, Bakhit Yakhmatov of Kazakhstan, also 188 kilos, and Akhmatov...
Yes, he was lighter, so if he succeeds with this lift, he actually will go into the gold medal position and put Klokov down into the silver.
Yeah, that's a good lift. And he's looking round. Well, I'll tell you what he's looking round at, David. He's looking round at the electronic scoreboard, which suggests 2 red lights that it's a no lift. And he knows, and we know, that that was a perfectly good lift. So goodness knows what those judges were thinking about. Well, they weren't thinking the right thing, because the jury, I can tell you, have intervened. And they've given him that lift, they've reversed it, and thank goodness that yeah, he's just looking around there in complete mystification. Nothing wrong with this, David.
No, it was absolutely fine. Well, again, you know, I hate to keep going on about it, but it's just another example of this press-out ruling. Well,
there is no press-out.
There is no press-out, so but it's so finely tuned. 2 referees thought that there was. And then you'll get an obvious press out, and you'll get three whites.
Well, here's the second attempt of Marcin Dowenga. This 193 kilos, and Marcin Dowenga, fantastic performance in front of his own Polish crowd in Władysławowo, setting a world record in the snatch of 199 kilos last May to take the European title, or to help him towards it. 193, better than anybody else in the class, and he did have a crack after this at 200, but unfortunately didn't make it. That would have been a new clean and jerk world record, but he's just about, David, the only Polish lifter we've seen here, man or woman, who's in some sort of shape. So at the halfway stage, the results are like this. Marcin Dowenga 193, Akhmatov taking the silver, and Klokov getting the bronze, the defending champion losing out by virtue of body weight. So now you join the action live with Naniev of Azerbaijan, left on 182 kilos at the halfway stage, and coming in here for his second clean and jerk attempt at 215 kilos. So we'll try and get you informed into the competition as quickly as we can. Well, as long as he stood still. This man was 6th in the Olympic Games in Athens, where he came out of the B group and totaled up 410. Now, just at this particular moment, he's sitting on 397 with one lift to come. Now, just about the B group, just to bring you into the competition, the best man in the B group totaled up 390. That's Casey Bergener of the USA, who snatched 175 kilos, clean and jerked 215 and 390. So he was the best man in the B group. Just very quickly, 1 or 2 European results. Peter Sobotka of the Czech Republic, 380. Sasha Segar of Croatia, bad afternoon, didn't total and didn't get anything, frankly. 3 snatch attempts at 151, didn't get any of them, and then understandably left the clean and jerk alone. Ihor Shimenko of the Ukraine, 180 in the snatch, 200, 380 total for him. So here's Robert Dwenga for Poland, not to be confused with Marcin, his older brother. Robert's 5 years the senior, hasn't quite had the success of Marcin, and that didn't look too good either.
No, he managed to snatch up 181 kilos.
That was 216, wasn't it?
So he's obviously sustained some kind of an injury in the warm-up by the looks of things.
Yeah, he didn't get a total in the Olympic Games in Athens, where of course there's only one set of medals to be won. Married to Barbara Sakbachinska, very good lightweight, tiny lightweight Polish weightlifter, famous for her weightlifting and also her breakdancing with Alexander Kalinowska. So definitely in the shadow of younger brother Marcin. So again, David, you know, there've been a lot of up and down form in the whole of this championship, and I think, you know, there's no doubt that the conditions have played their part. A lot of people have found it difficult to deal with the humidity here. In the pavilion in Santo Domingo on the south coast of the Dominican Republic. And so 216 for a second attempt here for Robert Dwenga of Poland. 4th in Europe this year when he totaled up 409, 184 snatch, followed by a 225 clean and jerk. So he's not up to that at the moment.
Well, it's a lift and it's a total.
Yeah, 397. But just the one.
Well, he's clearly got a problem with his wrist. I really don't think he's. Oh, it's cramp. He's got cramp. His hand's cramping up. Yeah. Being coached by Smoltzer, originally lifted as a flyweight. It's the old 52 kilo class that doesn't exist anymore.
Just explain this, David.
Well, it's just his forearm. If you can see his hands coming in, it's cramp. His arm's cramping and pulling his hand in. So they're just going to have to just stretch it out really and give him some fluids, I guess.
So Marcin Dwenga actually with a real chance, David, I think, of perhaps becoming the world champion as well. Total up 424 in the Europeans this year. Now, Klokov took the world title with 419, and at the moment Klokov is 5 kilos down on Marcin Dwenga, but weighed in right on the 105 limit. So it's all going to be quite fascinating for the overall championship.
So this man actually didn't manage to do one good snatch lift. Opened on 175, failed with it 3 times.
And having a pretty difficult day. That's 2 failures.
No, he succeeded on a 212 on the clean and jerk, but he missed all his snatches, so can't make a total.
One or two of you have been good enough to send some emails in. We'll get to those once we've got ourselves a little bit more established and got you in the rhythm of the competition.
Good effort.
Yeah. Well, it's good to see the fire, and that's the young Georgian, only 21 years of age, 217. So that's a recovery lift there, and 217 to go with 180 gives him 397. And the importance of that, really, David, is the fact that 397 represents a big improvement on personal bests. So, Audzeyev of Belarus, Mikhail Audzeyev, 24 years of age, really clean and jerk honours, or clean and jerk personal bests are really all he can go after. He's actually got a clean and jerk personal best of 226, so he's not going to get anywhere near that today. 9th in the Athens Olympic Games. But looks pretty disconsolate, doesn't he?
Yes, well, he knows he can't make a total.
So that's him done and left on 217. Now he's light-ish, 104.45 in the middle of the pack, but unless everybody comes out and drops everything, which is highly unlikely, his chances of finding his way onto a medal podium are pretty remote. So here's the defending champion, Dmitry Klokov, and coming in at 218. So this would be for 406. 3 kilos below his winning weight last season. Sorry, I'll correct that in a second. 13 kilos below.
But he comes, I think he's saying the bar's
loose.
Bar's not turning.
Yeah. Let's have a look. No, it isn't, is it? So 406. 2 lifts for him to go, and now to go into the lead in the clean and jerk. This is the third attempt of Naniev, 3 kilos up. This would take him right on to the 400 kilo mark. And him down as 182 for the snatch. If you concur, Mr. Morgan.
I concur. Yes, this would put him on 400.
The Dave versus Dave challenge will renew on the super heavyweights in a slightly different form. Naniev of Azerbaijan, at least his total, which is more than he managed to do in the European Championships. But 400, for example, last year 408 in the World Championships in Qatar. But I suppose, David, that's been largely par for the course right the way through these championships. You know, the vast majority of lifters, men and women, have been down on their kilos. And it's been pretty consistent in that regard.
So, sorted the hand out.
So, older brother now. 219. This will put him on 400. Come on. Just almost looking as if he's sort of gasping for a bit of air. Was that, or the hand?
I think he's pretty
good lift.
Pretty pleased with that. Yeah. So he's on 400 as well.
Got a best of 412 and a half, but you've got to go back 4 years to find it. Akhmatov. Now Akhmatov coming in at 221. Now here's a player, because this is the snatch bronze medalist. And this is going to put him on 409, or would have done. So at the moment, leading the overall competition is Dmitry Klokov, the defending champion, but still Marcin Dowenga to come in. And also, I think one man who could be dangerous, David, is Chagayev. But it's interesting for me that Chagayev, who's a man who, you know, at the height of his powers, this Bulgarian who came from Russia, he could clean and jerk 237. But he's put 215 and got the total in, but he's so far down.
Yeah, I mean, this is the pattern. I mean, I don't quite know what's happening in Bulgaria. I know they've got a lot of problems with their organisation, and it showed on every single athlete in every class. And Chagayev has been no exception to that. I mean, he'd normally be snatching around 185, 187. He did a 170, and as you say, phenomenal clean. And there he is, as you say, phenomenal clean and jerk. 237. He's opened up on 215. So clearly, there's something going on over there.
Yeah, I mean, if he could put down a 225 and he'd had a normal snatch of say 185, he'd be right in there, wouldn't he? So it's not happening. A big chance here for Marcin Dowenga to, you know, get the world title to add to his Europeans. I mean, he can't do anything else but beat the men who are put in front of him. So, but Klokov is not finished yet. Klokov, you remember, he's got the 406. He finished 5 kilos down on Marcin Dowenga, and you know, Klokov's the sort of
body weight. He's got body weight as well.
Yeah,
because Dowenga weighed in exactly on the limit, exactly 105 kilos.
Yeah, and he's got a best clean and jerk of 240. Be surprised if he produced that today. That's only 2 kilos below the international weightlifting standard of 242, which has never been achieved. Well, since these weight categories were set. Unfortunately, you can't walk around the stage with that sort of weight. So Akhmatov, 221. Second attempt. So the man who took the silver medal in the first half is now under real pressure. Well, are we going to see a Polish world champion? Every chance.
Yes, I'm not sure that I'd want to put any money on that one. I think it's either going to be Polish or it's going to be Klokov. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, but just to take ahead about our wager of the day. Those of you who've been following with us will know that we ended up even Steven last night. So the cookie jar at this moment is empty because we've all got our £5 notes back, but we've got one final bet to go for, and this is the bet. Do we say that in the super heavyweights, David, that Hossein Rezazadeh is unbeatable? And if we say that, it's our estimation of how many kilos he's going to lift today, and the one who gets closest to the kilos that he actually lifts in the live coverage of the men's super heavyweight will win the final fiver.
But is he unbeatable?
Is he unbeatable? You see, I've got a feeling that today might be the day, because the Iranians have been in some disarray, but let's think about that for a second. 221. Third and final time of asking, and this is for 409 to keep his overall championship challenge alive. Bakht Akhmatov of Kazakhstan. Now, come on, that was a better clean. That's better. Hold it to go. I really wanted him to do that. I'm very, very sad for him. He was fourth in the world's. And Akhmatov, I'm afraid the opportunity has gone. So that really is a disappointment, because he loses the total. He's left with the silver medal from the snatch phase, but the overall championship honours have disappeared. So now the younger brother, 222. Now, he did 225 in the Europeans, so this is probably pretty sensible. This will be for 415.
Well, all kinds of problems. Well, it's not over yet, is it?
Certainly is not. Well, that will have energized Klokov backstage, no doubt about that, because Klokov will now start to believe, as a result of that he can close that gap of 5 kilos. He's did 218. It looked pretty good. And Klokov's former junior world champion. Mind you, so's Dawenga in their respective weight categories and times. But Klokov, junior European champion, won the Arnie Classic in 2005 as well. Now, you know about that. For those who don't know, David, you can explain what winning the Arnie Classic means.
Well, the Arnold Classic originally was a...
First of all, let's explain it. We're talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, the Arnold Schwarzenegger Classic was originally a bodybuilding competition, and in recent years they decided to extend it, so they now include weightlifting, they include strongman, they have exhibitions. It's now become a much bigger event, and quite a prestigious one as well. Obviously held in the States every year, and I'm actually considering going out to it. It's in March of next year. I'm actually considering going out there.
And Klokov, of course, the son of a famous father, former world and European champion Vyacheslav, and when he comes in and what weight he takes rather depends on what Marcin Dowenga does at this particular moment.
Well, he's got a total, and he's got the oh dear.
Well, this is almost going to be a title defence by default, because at the moment,
well, Dowenga is definitely going to take that again. There's no way he's going to increase the weight, I would say. Therefore, that would mean that Klokov would, if he was successful, Klokov would need to do 227 to close the deficit, because he's lighter, so he'd know exactly what he needs to lift.
Yeah, but he's also now, and here is Dmitry Klokov. And this is the head-to-head that we find ourselves in now. I think there'll be quite a lot of discussion and analysis after these championships are over, David. There's an awful lot of things that need putting right, certainly televisively, absolutely organisationally, and in terms of preparation, I think, with these lifters, because there is something that has run through the whole of this championship. And clearly you've seen, if you've been with us, this continuous toweling down, and the humidity. It's, as you've said, it's not an air-conditioned hall, and it has been difficult. The lifters have found this hard to handle.
Well, it's been across the board. The clean and jerk definitely has suffered. So the leader after the snatch now,
the European champion,
in the position of having to do this lift to stay in the competition. It's very difficult to follow yourself 3 times on a clean and jerk with just a 2-minute break. Needs to stand now.
One monumental effort.
Oh, well, he's shaking. It looks very, very heavy. Oh, well,
that is fantastic. That is fantastic. To pull that out, 4:15.
I'm not sure if it's enough, though.
Well, I'm not sure it's enough for the championship, but it's certainly sure enough to make sure that he has a total, and it makes sure that he's going to be on the podium. That we know. But 4:15 represents 9 kilos down on this year's European performances, 6 kilos less in the snatch phase, 3 kilos less in respect of the clean and jerk. But this took some doing, David. You've got to give him credit for this.
Well, it did, because if 2 failures on a clean and jerk takes so much out of you. So he was knackered and under pressure.
But it just shows you the guts, the fire, the desire, the desire and the courage to go for it, and also the belief. You've got to believe that you can do that. Now, this man is not a threat in terms of the overall championship, but he's coming in here to have a go at the clean and jerk gold medal. Now, of course, if he does this, he takes or goes into the lead straight away. If Zhugli from Syria, and this is a bit of glory he's going for, David. It's right on his personal best mark, and Chagayev coming out now. So what's Chagayev going to go for?
Well, I think he's looking for clean and jerk honours here, so I would have thought it'd be about 120. It would have to be 124 at least. 224 because second attempts. If it was 223, he would have been out. That's wrong.
No, that's wrong. That's
wrong
not, and it's
order.
not Naniev either. And it's Chagayev of Russia, of Bulgaria.
And it's wrong because it must be. It has to be 224.
Yeah. And
Weight and the caption have to be wrong, or the organisers have got them out in the wrong order.
Well, we think this is.
It is 223.
You think that's 223?
It's completely wrong. It's completely wrong because the other guy came out for his
first attempt.
Oh no, actually no, that's right. No, that's right. No, it is right. But the caption was wrong. The caption
so 223.
Yeah, the order's right. The caption's wrong.
He didn't get it anyway, so he stays. He got 215 as his opener. So at the moment he's still on a very lowly 385 for a guy who has lifted 422.5. So here's the Syrian again. This is a very, very strange competition, I have to say. So 223 for a second time of asking, and all the time Klokov.
I'm going to be interested to see the attitude that Klokov takes to this. You know, whether he thinks, well, do I come in and go for the clean and jerk gold, or do I just save all my energies? He knows he needs 227. Does he just save his energies and put the 227 on and go for broke? He's guaranteed the silver medal on the overall. I think he'll go for the. I think he'll save his energy and go for the overall gold. Because if he goes for the clean and jerk gold, he'll have to come out in very quick succession to go for the total medal.
Well, if he fails it on his second attempt, the 227, he's going to only have 2 minutes because there ain't going to be anybody else left. So it's sort of pretty similar situation. But here's Chagayev, and just look at these guys; they look very lethargic.
Not just lethargic; he's carrying a bit more around the mill than he normally did. Normally in much better condition. He's out of condition.
You know, this was supposed to be the World Championship, which was a motivational opportunity to earn world points for, you know, national points to qualify for Beijing. Hasn't worked, has it?
No.
Not in that regard.
Not in that regard, no. Having said that, maybe it's part of a long-term Bulgarian training plan.
That's a very deep split.
No. Good effort, but it's just, again,
385.
it's just not there. So the Bulgarians seem to be around 20 kilos down on each lift, or they're doing similar lifts but in heavier weight classes.
David, you know what's happening here, don't you? One of the things I said earlier on, I was giving the B group results. Casey Bergener of the United States, 390.
Yeah, but we've
but hang on,
400 or 400 or 397 and a 315.
No, but he's going to get himself a high. He's going to get
higher placing. Yeah. Oh yes, definitely. So
I mean, that's the problem with a system where people are drawn into the A group based on their previous performances, that and that alone. In other words,
the trouble is that what else have you got to go on? Well,
the coach and the lifters decide the weights that they're going to put as the entry total. So the whole point about it is, you know, are you entering a realistic?
Well, I'll tell you what, Chagayev had a 405 posted. He only just managed to get within the 20 kilos.
Yeah. Otherwise he would have been disqualified. You're absolutely right. Well, the Syrian,
well, I'd say he was consistent in his failure. He failed every lift. 6 for 6.
Yeah, I mean, we shouldn't, you know, I don't doubt the fact that he came here with the intention of, you know, doing his best. But, you know, that's really disappointing. Well, now the big moment. Klokov bar up to 227.
Yep. So he's done exactly what we thought. So this, if successful,
for the championship,
we'll give him the championship, and we'll give him the gold medal on the total and the clean and jerk. So 227, that's around it's almost exactly £500 for those of you who like to know what it is in pounds. So, last year's world champion. Can he pull it out of the bag? Very good clean. Now, come on. No. So close.
We go down to the wire.
Yeah, right down to the last lift.
You know, that would have given him the championship, 4 kilos less than he lifted last year. But he's going to keep us waiting. As you said, the clean was very good. But we saw that with Dawenga, you know, 2 failures, and then he finally pulled it out. So I think there's every chance that this guy's going to do it as well. Still to come, the men's super heavyweight, and hopefully we're going to also show you a few highlights from the women's super heavyweights as well. But this is the moment. I mentioned 1 or 2 emails. Got an email in from Ariel. You were asking, Ariel, how much can the strongest lifters of the different weight categories, both men and women, lift in the deadlift and the bench press? One for you, David.
Well, it's a long.
We'll pause on that.
The strongest lifters of different weight categories, but what, weightlifters or powerlifters? It's a long question because there's about.
We'll talk about it later. This is for the championship. If he lifts it, he'll have 415. He'll nick it away from Marcin Dawenga by virtue of lighter body weight. The defending champion, the last lift. Touch and go.
Oh, come on. Oh, no, so close. So Dawenga is the new world champion.
And he takes it with 415, which is 9 kilos less than his European title, but the European champion of 2006 is now also the world champion, and the world champion of 2005 is now the silver medalist. And there's Marcin Dawenga, absolutely delighted. It's the first Polish title of the championship, and he's beside himself. The scenes in Władysławowo when he set the snatch world record and ultimately took the championship, well, they were pretty special, and you can see what it means to him. You have to have a little bit of luck in this game. That's Zygmunt Waschela, the president of the Polish Weightlifting Federation. Be a big relief for him because that's the first Polish performance that's earned a medal. And clock off, he'll be back. Well, there's David Riggett, your good mate, David, and I just wonder what he's thinking. Well, just to let you know what's going to happen, we'll wait for the medal ceremonies. We are going to show you some highlights from the women's 75 kilos, so I'm not going to let you know what happened there in that particular championship. And then, of course, all the way live with the men's super heavyweights. And just looking forward to that, David, that will be our finale, as it always is. Quite a big field for that, but of course, Rezazadeh were all eyes on him. He aspires to be the first man in competition to lift 500 kilos, but that ain't gonna happen today.